Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Eli Robinson. I am the Chief Trivia Officer here at Water Cooler Trivia, bringing you our weekly trivia review. This week's game, the 12 Days of Trivia, taking a look at play on the Christmas Carol and having a little bit of fun with the answers. If you don't know what Water Cooler Trivia is, we are a weekly trivia game for you and your office, your coworkers, your groups, your organizations to play on the internet to stay connected to each other. You can find us online at watercoolertrivia.com. We have a 4-week free trial, and you can find me online at Chief Trivia Officer on TikTok, LinkedIn, and wherever the kids are found these days. All right, let's jump right into it. So, had a score distribution around where we usually aim for. As I've kind of argued before, that like we generally want 8 and 9 to be where the majority of our scores come in. So you see that thick tail around 9, some perfect scores with 10, and then kind of trailing off from 8 on down. Average of 7.56 and the median of 8, which is very, very common for what we do. So there's an intro to this week's game. It says, on the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me some hints for this week's trivia. We have a little fun little image there. It says, since we're knee-deep in the season of giving, our gift to you is that the answers to questions 1 through 10 in this week's trivia are also gifts received in the famous Christmas Carol, The 12 Days of Christmas. You're welcome. So a fun little conceit here where you can take an alternative approach. You can write all the gifts down if you can list them, or use that as a guide for what it was going to be. So question number 1, some of our favorite collective nouns for animals include a congregation of alligators, a business of ferrets, an ostentation of peacocks, and a gaggle of what other fowl? That would be geese, geese a-laying. For those interested in formality, you probably prefer the term parking enforcement officer, or PEO, I think, to the beginning of Half Baked, the master of the custodial arts line. But the rest of us can thank the Beatles' lovely Rita for the popularization of what other term for people who inspect but hardly ever dust off parking meters? Lovely Rita, meter maid. That would be the maids. Hawks has been a term for pro-war politicos since the late 1700s. The Vietnam War and the Cuban Missile Crisis popularized what more olive branchy bird name for anti-war advocates? Those would be the doves. In 2016, Neil Peart, Ginger Baker, Keith Moon, and John Bonham, in order from 4 to 1, topped a Rolling Stone list of the 100 greatest blanks of all time. That would be the drummers who were drumming. A number of you wrote in to say that you thought Neil Peart should be number 1, and unfortunately, I do not serve on the committee that comes up with the list. I apologize. John James Audubon, an American artist and naturalist active in the early 1800s, lends his name to a society of environmentalists dedicated to the conservation of what type of animal? Those would be birds, calling birds, if you're in for the song. Beanie Feldstein, Avril Lavigne, Sydney Sweeney, and trivia queen Amy Schneider all experienced a similar life event in 2022 that now sees them sporting what accessory? That would be 5 gold rings. Rings, they all got engaged. Congratulations to this group of ladies. In the United States, the parties thrown prior to a wedding in honor of the bride and groom are called a bachelor and bachelorette party, respectively. In the UK, the groom's party is named after stags or bucks, while the bride's party is named after what animal? That would be a hen's party, a hen-do party. An exceptionally high percentage of y'all got that right, which is pretty cool. In May 2022, the Kenyan College announced that its sports teams would henceforth be referred to as Owls, replacing what paired nickname that had been used for many, many decades? That would be the Lords and Ladies. Lords from the 1930s and ladies from the 1970s, as part of the grand renaming that is occurring across many, many institutions in our society in the U.S. these days. They're now going with the Owls. The 2022 Australian Rules Football Grand Final saw the Geelong Cats win their 10th VFL-AFL partner premiership by defeating the Sydney Blanks 133-52. That would be the Sydney Swans. Only about half of y'all got that one. And Shirley Jones and David Cassidy started a sitcom that originally aired from 1970 to 1974 about what eponymous family who attempt to embark on a music career? That would be the Partridge Family. I wanted to include the tiebreaker for this week, so bringing notoriety to Pipers everywhere. What year did the arcade video game Donkey Kong debut, thus introducing the world to Mario? That would be 1981. The first thing I'll say is that the guesses for that were exceptionally impressive. But the other thing is I wanted to show you that although we didn't tell you this, we used all of them: a partridge in pear tree, 2 turtle doves, the hens, birds, rings, geese, swans, maids, ladies, lords, pipers, and of course Neil Peart and the drummers, which led to a wonderful distribution of scores. It was awesome. Once again, my name is Eli Robinson. Thanks for stopping by to learn a little bit more about water cooler trivia. We will see you next week for our second Christmas week. It's really, really fun, and we hope you enjoy. Till next week, keep on triving on.